Luxury items. What are people's obsession with luxury goods? I mean, there are goods and services, and then there's luxury goods and services. Obviously, people like nice things, and the nicer the thing, the more you're gonna like it. Luxury items. Why do people need them? Why do people buy them a lot? Well, obviously, luxury items, they're better than regular items. Some people would say, well, luxury items are just the same as any other type of item. Others would say, well, it gives me a sense of well-being. It helps me to reward myself after working hard. Others say still that luxury items, luxury goods, services, etc., more or less waste of money. Well, the right answer is luxury items can be good, but if you're not careful, they can bankrupt you. What am I talking about? Well, let's get into it. Now, let's be honest. Everybody, myself included, we all like luxury things. No one likes to just get the base level item. No one wants generic cereal at the grocery market. No one likes, well, some people do. Just a generic Toyota, what's a base level automobile nowadays? Honda Accord? Those sort of things, they are useful. They're great. They get you from point A to point B, but they don't have any pizzazz. They don't indicate to your fellow man and woman that I'm a person of note. I'm someone that you want to deal with. I'm a good individual, highly ranked, skilled, making a lot of dough. Luxury items are a way of adorning yourself to let other people know. The people in your inner circle and around you and in your outer circle that I'm a high level individual, or at least I have enough money to fool you into thinking that I am one of those people. Now, what is beautiful houses, sleek cars, high-end accessories. We all know that feeling, that allure of owning luxury goods to impress the people we don't like. It can be very strong, but we also likely know that overpaying for goods and services of the luxury variety are likely going to hinder our financial growth. Luxury items cause more average and slightly above average people to stay average or slightly above average than you would think. Living a luxury lifestyle is very expensive, and focusing in on luxury goods before you have the means to do so it's going to minimize your path to wealth, and it's going to minimize your path to growing as wealthy as you possibly can. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can have your cake and eat it too. Luxury items, yes, you can possess them, and you can still grow wealthy. How? Well, you got to take advantage of what I like to call financial dichotomies. And the one applicable to this instance in this lesson is the dichotomy of urgency and patience. Let's talk through that. Now, luxury goods, not everybody can afford them, right? If you're working fries at McDonald's, you more than likely can't afford luxury goods. Or at least you shouldn't be affording luxury goods. If you can afford luxury goods, you're the type of individual that's put in the work, to get the skills to pay the luxury bills, right? And in the US, that really means somebody that has a college degree, a highly advanced degree, in a field, in a business vertical that tends to pay quite a bit of money. Or you could be an entrepreneur, out there working your own. You found a niche that now pays you more than the average lifestyle, more than the average individual, affording you a lifestyle that is greater than the average individual. And that to a lot of people means luxury goods and luxury services. We talked about houses, cars, luxury accessories, bags, clothes, etc. The problem is though, that illustrates a common phenomenon that happens with anyone that gets a bit of money faster than they thought, or gets money at any clip as a matter of fact. It's called lifestyle creep. And you know this already, but lifestyle creep, that's when people make more money. They often upgrade their tastes from everyday goods and services to luxury items. And as they make more money, they purchase more and more luxury goods and services. This can be as simple as upgrading your car from a Honda Accord to a BMW. But it can also include things like buying a bigger house in a more expensive neighborhood. One of the things that a lot of people think about when they think about luxury goods as well is people buying high-end accessories like watches, shoes, clothes, and bags in particular. I see those are becoming more popular. Louis Vuitton is an example. It's not the big purchases that tend to keep poor people poor, average people average, and knock rich people out of the top tax brackets. No, it's the little purchases daily that tend to do these sort of things. That's where luxury goods hurt the most. Because they cost more on average than your average goods, what you're doing is you're consistently paying more than average for your more than average goods, for your higher end goods. That in the end makes you pay more for the same goods and services that you would if you were just having a regular item. $500 a month car payment on a Honda Accord versus a $1,500 a month payment on, let's say, a high-end BMW. That extra $1,000 a month adds up very fast, as I'm sure you know. And what's worse, particularly in this example, is that a lot of times people are financing these luxury goods with debt. Because no matter how much money you make, in a lot of instances, unless you're a super 9-figure net worth individual or a billionaire type person, you're not paying for these items outright with cash. In today's society, a lot of people rely on loans and credit or other forms of debt financing. One of the things I like to hammer here on this channel is that in order to grow wealthy, you need to end the debt spiral. And it's not just being in an amount of debt that you can't handle or that you can't pay off. It's about consistently paying interest over time. So you see, compound interest is a topic of conversation that a lot of people talk about on financial channels such as this one. But typically they talk about it in the positive sense, right? If I invest this much money over time and I rely on the power of compound interest, it's going to grow my wealth to this value. But the opposite is also true. If you're consistently paying interest over time, that's going to eat into your wealth and honestly keep you poor for a long period of time. So you need to be aware of the effects of compound interest positively, and you need to be aware of the effects of compound interest negatively. And the way to grow your wealth is to have compound interest work in your favor instead of against you. And the way to do that is to minimize how much debt you pay consistently, particularly if it's not good debt. Now, good debt versus bad debt is a separate discussion altogether. I have a video on that. Please check it out on my channel. But when you buy luxury items on credit, you're not just paying for the item itself. You're paying a significant amount of interest. And this leads to stats like the Federal Reserve saying the average American household holds about $137,000 in debt, with a significant portion of that being set to luxury purchases. Now, you know the problem. What is the solution, right? Everybody likes to have nice things. And you work hard for your money. So why can't I have the things that I want? Well, you can, but the answer lies in understanding the financial dichotomy between urgency and patience. Let me dive into this topic. In the financial sphere, as with many spheres, there's a lot of dichotomies that you have to navigate to make sure that you're on the right path, right? The yin and the yang. And when dealing with wanting luxury goods and also wanting to grow your wealth, you have to understand that you need to deal with both patience and urgency. Let's talk about patience first. Patience is required to hold off on buying luxury items until you truly can afford them. You know, opting for regular items instead. A modest house in an average or even like lower class neighborhood, a reliable but not luxurious car, and practical accessories that maybe look nice but aren't that expensive. The way I like to think of having patience in a financial sense, and in many senses actually, is that I'm not denying myself the things that I want. What I'm doing is I'm prioritizing the things that I need and the goals that I have ahead of the things that I want, including luxury items. So the psychological effect there is that I'm still gonna get these things. My goal is to have these nice things that I want, but because I'm prioritizing, i.e. placing higher in the pecking order, my wealth and growing my wealth, my needs, the things that I need today, and getting them in a financially savvy and financially smart manner, what I'm doing is positioning myself in the future to have these luxury items that I want without having the burden of debt to finance them. So how does this translate into what you can do? Well, consider moving to a lower cost of living area, especially if you can work remotely. As we all know, housing is one of the highest costs you're going to incur in your lifetime, and it's also one of the most controllable. When you lower your housing costs, you free up more money to invest in your future. So try and keep your housing costs as low as possible. Maybe rent instead of own for longer than you expect. Now, there's going to be a little bit of an argument there that renting is just throwing money away. I have a video on like what makes the most sense financially when renting versus owning a home. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But finding a way to keep your housing costs low frees up the amount of money that you need to save and invest. Now remember, this is not denying yourself of the things that you want. It's waiting until the time is right, living modestly now so that your finances allow you to live better in the future. But the other side of this coin is urgency. Urgency is not being complacent. Urgency is having a sense of purpose about what it is that you need to do to grow your income. And I'm sure you know, growing your income. Actually, one of the primary ways you're gonna grow your wealth. The higher the rate at which you can earn, the higher the rate at which you can invest. And the more you can invest, the wealthier you can be. Think of it as applying force to a flywheel. The more force you can apply to the flywheel, the more momentum it can build. And once the momentum gets started, it's gonna start working in your favor. High income is that force you're applying to that flywheel. And once that flywheel is moving, that's your wealth working for you, giving you the oh so infamous passive income. And the faster you can increase your earnings, the quicker you can afford the luxury items you desire without compromising your financial future. There are many ways to increase your income, right? Investing in education or skills. It's one of the best ways to increase your earning potential. Second best is look for side hustles and additional income streams. Side hustles, additional income streams, not easy to come by, not easy to execute. If you already have a 9-to-5 or a regular job, try and find a way to make that job pay you more, or find a job in a similar vein that also helps to pay you more. And that goes back to what we talked about earlier, investing in your education, thinking outside the box on the skills you already have, how to apply them to make more money in another sphere, in another avenue. Maybe it's time for you to leave your current position and find a new position. Again, all these things are not easy, but that's why they pay so well. So think about ways you can do that, and you have to have an urgency, a sense of urgency about it. Don't be complacent. Just because you're, say for example, you're a lawyer, you make $250,000 a year and you're happy with your salary, don't think that that's just where you should stop. Keep applying yourself to come up with ways to make more income over time. Because what you want to do is you want to create a financial buffer that allows you to purchase luxury items without going into debt. Because as we know, if you can maintain a modest lifestyle and use the money that you would have been using to purchase these luxury goods, and even worse, to pay for them with debt, and use that money to invest in your savings and in your investments, you're going to see significant financial growth over time. So just keep that in mind and just understand that luxury items, they're fine, but if they're not managed wisely, they can become a trap. And just be aware of the impact of lifestyle creep. Sure, I know you worked hard and you definitely deserve it, but your future self deserves an even better lifestyle. And the patience that you have is going to pay off in dividends, particularly if you take your current self and you have an urgency about the income and your income growth. Your future self is going to have the financial freedom and enjoy the things that you desire even more. So if you got any value out of this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. I talked a little bit earlier about home ownership and what makes sense between renting versus owning. I have a video on that I think you should check out. Thanks again, guys. This is Derek West for Finance Squared. Peace.